Hello and welcome to our video presentation of the paper ArchFeature, a modeling environment integrating features into product line architecture, presented by Garib Garibi under the supervision of Dr. Yongji Zhang, School of Computing and Engineering, University of Missouri in Kansas City. Software product line engineering has emerged as a successful approach that advocates a high level of reuse and mass customization when developing a family of software products that share substantial commonalities while every product have some variability points. This family of software products are usually referred to or called software product line. The developing software product lines requires that the variability between those different products must be explicitly represented, usually represented in a feature model on a product line architecture. On one hand, feature models capture variable features in the problem space. Feature means that it's a distinctive user-visible characteristic that distinguishes between different products of a product family. On the other hand, the software product line architecture is usually a monolithic architecture. Monolithic means it captures both common and variation points in the software product line solution space. Each variation point is accompanied by a condition that determines when to include or exclude that variation point from the product line architecture. There exist two main challenges in the software product line area. The very first challenge is that currently there exists a conceptual gap between product line features and product line architecture. As we just explained, usually the artifacts that represents the different features of a product line architecture is developed in a separate artifact or usually a different tool than the tool we use to develop product line architecture. So by time and after the software evolves, these two different artifacts will be disconnected. On the other hand, we need to have an automatic approach, an automatic way to manage and maintain the variation points in a product line architecture. Unfortunately, none of the current tools or approaches have this capability. They all require the changes, the management and maintenance of variation points in the product line architecture to be manually done. This causes significant overhead on the product line architecture development and prevents developers from focusing on their main tasks or goals. Contributions. So mainly our approach and tool provide a novel product line architecture modeling approach with a tool set. We called it ArchFeature. Our tool has the following main objectives: to integrate specifications of product line architecture and features in a single model, and to provide an integrated development environment that supports developing both features and product line architecture side by side in a single user interface. We will see this later in the video demonstration as well. Our tool, ArchFeature, includes a graphical modeling environment that can and that supports an automatic capturing, maintaining, and visualizing the feature to product line architecture relationship. Our tool can also automatically manage and maintain variation points, which addresses the second challenge. On top of that, our tool supports automatic derivation of architecture instances from the main product line architecture. Here in this slide, we see an overview of ArchFeature. On the top, we see the main interface of ArchFeature. As we mentioned, ArchFeature integrates the development environment. So on the right, we see the product line architecture is developed side by side to the feature list that exists on the left. So now we bridged the gap between features and product line architecture. How did we do that? On the second half, on the bottom half of this slide, we see the underlying model that we used in developing or modeling the both features and product line architecture. We also integrated the specification of features and the specification of the product line architecture in a single model. We implemented our tool on top of ArchStudio. ArchStudio itself is an open source software and system architecture development environment that was built and developed at the Institute for Software Research at the University of California, Irvine here in the United States, ArchStudio is an Eclipse plugin. So our main implementation tasks included developing a new Zadel constructs, like the one we just saw in the previous slide, the feature construct. Also, we modified ArchStudio to support our variability-related relationships and operations. We also developed new Eclipse views to support product line architecture and the feature list. And on top of that, we developed a new tool called Selector. To evaluate our approach and our tool, we asked two software engineers, one of them is a software architect from Cerner Corporation, to use our tool to model a full-featured product line architecture of a real software system. They chose to apply our tool and approach on an open-source Java-based enterprise server that they are familiar with called Apache Solr. It consists of 50 Java packages, thousands of Java classes, and 146,000 lines of Java source code. The results of this case study in details can be seen and checked on our website, which is listed in our paper. However, the two engineers reported the following about ArchFeature. First of all, they said that ArchFeature is feasible and affordable to be used in modeling the product line architectures, and that our idea of integrating features into product line architecture is actually beneficial, save them lots of time and efforts in modeling and managing the software product line. Also, having a product line architecture made the engineers better understand the system and its overall architecture. On top of that, they reported that the feature visualization technique and functionality included in our tool saved them lots of time and effort when maintaining the features, especially identifying where a particular feature is implemented in the product line architecture. However, they reported that the main limitation is that the feature types that ArchFeature support are not sufficient enough to cover all the cases in the product line architecture. Specifically, we need an OR feature that is needed to allow more than one variance to be selected for a single feature. However, we can address easily and straightforward this issue or limitation by introducing a new Zadel constructs in our model, and this is done our main future work. Now we leave you with a video demonstration. To illustrate the importance of our tool, we are going to demonstrate its main functions on a real software case study. What we see now is a full-featured architecture model of an Apache enterprise server called Solr. It has approximately 150,000 lines of Java source code, and it's modeled using ArchStudio. On the left, we see the feature list with more than 100 different features of this system. It's fully developed using ArchFeature. Basically, ArchFeature integrates the development of features and product line architecture side by side in a monolithic architecture. A very important function of our tool is to visualize the relationship between the system features and the corresponding architecture elements. Double-clicking any feature will highlight the corresponding architecture elements with a different color. Double-clicking Solar Cloud feature, for example, will highlight the corresponding elements responsible for this feature. Of course, we can easily change the relationship color. Not only visualization, but our tool makes it very easy to update and maintain those relationships. For example, removing a particular feature will result in removing all of the corresponding architecture elements. If we remove the writers feature, for example, all of its related architecture elements will be automatically removed. Our tool supports both automatic and manual creation of relationships, and it supports optional, alternative, and optional alternative features. Double-clicking any feature will activate it. Any changes made to the architecture after this point will be automatically linked and recorded under this feature. However, a user can still add any existing architecture element to any feature manually by right-clicking the element and selecting Add to the current feature. ArchFeature will automatically take care of creating, updating, and removing variation points in product line architecture. Another very interesting function is the ability to derive and use software products from the product line architecture model. We developed a tool called Selector that enables the user to customize the product by selecting which features to include or exclude. For example, we can exclude all optional features and select different variants of alternative features and press Run. The result is a new product architecture that has the selected features only. We use ArchStudio to create a simple chatting application architecture. We first create a new architecture file and create a new structure. Double-clicking the structure file will open the graphical architecture editor, where we can use the mouse right-click to create a new component. We give it a description, and now we right-click the component to create both required and provided interfaces. In the same way, we create a simple chatting application architecture that has a gameplay feature. Now, we create a new feature by right-clicking the feature menu item and selecting alternative feature. We name it Save History. This feature has two variants that enables users to save chatting history either as a plain text or multimedia. Now, double-clicking a feature will activate it. Any changes on the architecture after this point will be automatically recorded and linked to the current active feature. In the same way, we double-click the Save Multimedia feature to activate it and to create related architecture elements. Let's assign different colors to each feature by right-clicking the feature name and selecting Change Color. Now let's try our tool. Double-clicking the Save Multimedia feature must highlight all corresponding architecture elements. Next, we relate an existing architecture element manually to a new feature. We first create a new optional feature and double-click the feature. Now we right-click the component and select Add to the current feature. In the same manual way, we can relate the links and interfaces. Now select the blue color for this feature. Again, if we double-click the feature, it will highlight all related elements in blue. As mentioned before, deleting an existing feature will delete all corresponding architecture elements. Next is the Selector tool. It's very useful to create a new software product from an existing product line architecture model based on the features. Right-click the architecture file, select Open with Product Line Selector. The tool will list all the features with their description and values. We want to create a new chatting application that does not have the game feature and saves the chatting history as a plain text only. Now we press Run and give a new architecture file name. As we see here, the result is a new architecture file with our specified features only. Our future work of this research study includes supporting new additional feature types, as we mentioned in the limitations in our case study, and we are going to also support modeling the relationships such as mutual dependencies between product line features. Moreover, we are planning to extend ArchFeature to support the activities such as product line implementation and architecture-centric product line development and evolution. Approaches that exist today, they store features and the target model in two separate artifacts. They use traceability links to manage the relationships between these two artifacts. Examples of these tools are Feature Template and Doppler. They both save the traceability information in one of the artifacts. Other tools such as Feature Mapper and Site save the traceability information in a third artifact. They all face the challenge of automatically creating and maintaining traceability links between software. However, at the end of this presentation, we have to highlight that ArchFeature is the only tool that supports automatic creation and maintenance of variation points in the target model, the product line architecture. For more information on ArchFeature, you can visit its website, and thank you for listening.